Good evening. I'm going to call to order the meeting of Monday, October 26th. If the clerk would please read the roll.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Ashford?
Present.
Councilmember Beeden?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Councilmember Warden?
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the October 12th meeting. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any changes to the minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. I'm going to go a little off. I take this down for a minute. I'm going to go a little off agenda tonight right now because I do have a couple presentations which are not on the agenda. We have two council people that this is their last meeting tonight. Councilmember Warden and Councilmember Harris. So I think it's very fitting that we acknowledge that, and I'm going to start with I don't want to say senior member in the sense of senior meaning senior in years, but senior in service. So I'll start there. Ken Harris has served the city of Port Huron residents for 9 years. I think he deserves a round of applause for that. No, Ken has always, I don't think have you missed any meetings? One meeting in 9 years. That is something.
Awesome.
And your dedication and your desire to help out the residents of the city of Port Huron is to be commended. I know that we have not seen the last of you. I'm quite sure you will still be here and coming to council members as part of the public audience. And but we did want to, this is in appreciation of 9 years of dedicated service to the city of Port Huron. Grateful community, city council, and administration, and thank you. And I would like to give this to you on behalf of the entire council. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, if I could.
Yes, please.
I'm just shy of one meeting of having a clean slate of 9 consecutive years here. And before that, I think I didn't miss a meeting on the City Charter Commission. And it's been a task over the years, and there's days that it's like at work when there's days you shouldn't have been there, but you're still here. I think I just telling Pauline, the city right now, we reached a nice point, but we're still not at where I would like to see them and stuff. And my goal is to finish the job by being public and giving public comments. Unfortunately, we're doing a lot better or fortunately for us, we're doing a lot better than the political thing that's going on amongst the country right now. And that's because the people in Port Huron have learned to support their city council in the past, and I think they'll continue doing it. And I just don't know how to say thanks, but it's been a great venture. I won't quit. And I think it was back the second year I was on council. A letter of the editor criticized me because I didn't wear a suit. And I took the criticism rightly, and I basically responded that Al Jellett, when he gets to see me, he won't see me in a suit either. So that's the way I am, and that's the way I'll be. So I just like to thank everybody in the city of Port Huron. I've met so many people since I got into politics, and you know what? 99% of them are awful good people. So thank you, and have a good evening.
And the other person who's leaving council after tonight's meeting is Councilmember Warden. Scott has served the past 4 years, and for that we are appreciative, and that's also the same plaque that I'm going to be giving you, so I won't reread the whole plaque, but Scott, you've certainly dedicated yourself to this city and to coming to council meetings and making sure that you researched everything. and offering your opinion, and we didn't always agree, but I respect that you had your opinion, I have mine, and all of us have different opinions, but we all work together, and that's what makes government work. You to be nice and have opinions of your own, but to work together in the end. So I do thank you on behalf of the community, the city council, and the administration for your years of service as well. Thank you, Lisa.
I didn't have anything prepared tonight, but what a surprise and what an honor, and I truly appreciate the opportunity, to serve a nice term here to serve our community and our city. I mean, I came forward with that, gave 100%, and I can tell you, learning an awful lot as we go. Fellow council members that sat next to me on the dais here had to, my way of learning things is to ask questions so I can understand them. So this city is very, very well run. The departments, it's just amazing. And I just have to say, when I looked back and reflected on my 4-year term coming to an end in August, I thought, wow, sit back for a minute, and I finally made a decision. We accomplished an incredible lot in the last 4 years. And there's a lot of tough decisions, and we buckled down and collectively our group, and also with a lot of city resident input come forth, I looked at it and said, wow, it was a good accomplishment. So it's time for others to step up. I think it's a great thing for people to do. I think everybody, if they have a chance to serve their community in one way or the other, and it's an incredible honor to be able to do it as a city council member. Just one other thing. Again, didn't have anything prepared here, but as it is my last meeting, I just thought the number one thing that makes, as a city council member, once you get up here, is you turn off that or set aside that thing that looking out, for yourself, and it's serve others before self, and that's the one thing that is really rewarding. And I think the city residents and the city voters that count on us council members when they vote and elect us here, and they can come forward, whether they come to a meeting to inquire here, or make a phone call, or meet you on the street, or at a gas station they see you. It truly is very, very helpful to communicate and to be able to reach out to council members. So one other thing is the comments about council member Harris as well. I did, my thoughts as a council member. He is a true picture also of, 9 years. I can't imagine. Relentless, outstanding, constantly always walking the streets, going for his walks in his neighborhood, reaching out, getting back to people. So again, I commend him as well for his 9 years here on council, and thank him as a resident as well. But thank you, Mayor and Council, for this award, and let's get on with this meeting.
Thank you. Well, now we'll move on to the business of the city. So, public hearings, number 1, please.
To hear comments on the special use permit request from Kevin Sanderson for an active home occupation to operate a home-based FFL, which is a federal firearms license business at 1517 Chestnut Street. Following the hearing, City Council shall make a determination to either deny the request or to grant the request for the special use permit.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the item before us on the public hearing about the special use permit? Anyone who wishes to address that item? Did you want to say something, James?
Madam Mayor and Council, we've done some research. I know I sent you, David Haynes sent you some information this past week regarding this. We have the Chief of Police here as well who can speak to this issue. The more we've researched this is actually normal in communities across the state of Michigan. Our neighboring communities of Marysville and St. Clair have very similar home occupations such as this. This is very normal for the course. This is not the Hawk Shop showroom in someone's living room. It's not like that. It's much smaller scale. I do have David Haynes here if you have any questions. I also have Chief Platzer if you'd like him to speak to this issue briefly as well.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this? It would be now.
Can I give you guys these documents? I got just a quick page on the front of information regarding my need, personal need.
If you just want to give them to, we can pass them down.
There's also a page of history on the FFL dealer system, when it was implemented, how it works. There's also a copy of a Form 4473, which is the federal firearm sale transaction on there. And there's also a Michigan pistol purchase form in there, the Michigan RI 060. And, well, last time I stood before you guys, I told you that I thought that the denial of the permit or the failure for my permit to go through was unfounded, and I spent some time getting some documents together for you guys to look over. Since I've been here, I spoke to one couple in the audience about the business itself, reassuring them that this is entirely normal. This is not, like he said, it's not a Hawk Shop showroom in my living room. All the business will be done in a very non-interrupting manner. If you look at the paperwork I gave you, there's the Form 4473. That's towards the back. So the Form 4473 is the actual document that I will be processing for people who purchase firearms. If they purchase it somewhere else and have it sent to me, that is the document that they fill out. The front page is a self-identification, and then after that, I perform a NICS background check through the FBI system. That system is the background check that you hear about on the news all the time, where they say we need more of them. So I will be performing those background checks. If someone comes to me and attempts to purchase a firearm and they fail for any reason, they do not get that gun. It is a safe, common practice. There's not going to be large amounts of firearms in the home, unless I build my own collection, but there will not be large amounts of firearms in the home. Somebody purchases it, they pick it up. I'm not running a showroom, I'm not inviting people in to let them look around stacks of guns to pick what one they want. They purchase it, have it sent to me, they pick it up. There's not, if you look at the front page there will be no ammunition on the premises. I am not applying for that type of FFL. There will be no shooting on the property. One of the planning commissioners asked me if I would be shooting on the property. No, that is not going to happen. There will be no firearms used on the property. It will only be the process of making sure people that already purchased firearms are legal to own them. As you can see here, I put some facts up there about there's 75 registered FFLs within 25 miles of Port Huron. The only FFL operating within the city of Port Huron still is the Hawk Shop. I called around to some of the other ones that are listed. They are now inactive. And to date, there have been nearly 29 million background checks performed, and I don't see any reason that some of that business can't come to our town.
Thank you.
And if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, if I could, I would over visited your neighborhood yet today, and I noticed it's kind of a congested area, and you actually share a driveway with some other people. And when you're operating a business out of your home, how are we going to handle if, I know you're talking on about a low volume thing, but we're talking about a residential area, and I just kind of know, what do your neighbors think? And have you discussed with them the issues of having people come in and out and stuff like that? So.
I have. My immediate neighbor is totally okay with it. She's on board. My neighbors across the street, they've all said that they're okay with it. Even the dog walker lady said she's okay with it, so. She actually said she might be a customer, so. I have spoken to my neighbors. I've made myself available to them. I've made myself a member of my community. We moved there in February. And, I mean, we've spoken with everybody that butts up to our yard, everybody that we see all the time, and they all seem to be pretty on board with it.
Well, it's good to hear your side, but I know as part of our agenda tonight, they give us some things here, and they give us page 5 and 6 about the businesses that can be in a home and businesses can't, and it just didn't seem to address that. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, you were addressing that with your neighbors, because you're the one that's going to have to live with it.
Yep.
And if they have an issue, who's going to resolve the issue? The Federal Firearms Department or the police chief? If we have something, say somebody tries to rob your place.
If they successfully steal something, I would have to report it to the ATF.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to this item?
Mayor Rupp,
Yes.
if nobody else is here.
Oh, I'll close the hearing first. Oh, there's, do. If you just want to give us your name?
My name is Gary Berman, and I live at 404 Edison Boulevard, but I do own a home on 16th Street that my daughter occupies with 2 grandchildren. And I've heard everything both in the previous meeting and here tonight, and I understand there's probably a lot of safeguards that go along with this, but my concern is having 2 grandchildren, age 7 and 10, riding their bikes around the neighborhood. If this is going to impose any type of danger to them. We're still dealing with guns, and I'm not opposed to guns, but again, this is a residential area, and it just seems kind of peculiar to me that you would have this type of a business in a residential area. And it's a long-established neighborhood, and I'm just concerned for my grandchildren. And I just hope that when you do vote for this, that you would take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address this item on the agenda? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Oh, you did, I thought you were going to make a motion.
No, I was yielding to the audience to make sure you put it, for our city manager, James Freed, said that this was normal. What is normal? And the proof of that.
Why don't we have Chief
Said this
Platzer?
is-
Well, why don't we discuss it after we get a motion on the floor and ask questions, because we don't have a
Okay,
motion.
but
on the
this
floor.
would affect,
Oh, it's not, this is the public hearing part where people are
Okay.
making comments, and then we
Right.
actually put the item before us, and then we'll ask the questions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I move to grant his request.
support.
support, so we have a motion, and we have a support. Now is the time for
Okay.
open discussion.
What's normal?
So I'll have Chief Platzer come speak to this industry and what he knows about it. We did ask him to do some research into this, and so he has better information, and he's probably a more credible source on this than I am.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor Rupp, City Council, I have not reviewed the packet that Mr. Sanderson provided, but what I do know of this is that it is common in cities. I did reach out to a local police chief today and spoke to him about a dealer in his city. And I know this dealer for the last 20 years, and they don't have a lot of problems, or they actually said they have no problems. He says the only concern that they had was that the fire department is concerned about ammunition being stored on the property. But listen to Mr. Sanderson, there won't be any ammunition there. Is there a possibility that a house could be broken into? I mean, it could happen. He could have the best safeguards in place, and somebody still could break into his residence. But what I do know of these dealers is that it's usually the purchased weapon is delivered to them. The people show up, they do the paperwork, and then they're on their way. He does have to report to the ATF. If his residence was to get broken into, Port Huron Police would be the first responders. So we would take the original complaint, we would work with the ATF. That information would be entered into our lien system, the stolen items and that. But what I do like is that the fact is that he's bringing it to you, so we know about this location. I hate to think about the locations in the city of Port Huron that have weapons that we don't know about. So this gentleman is trying to do the right thing by bringing it to you, going through the paperwork and following the procedures. So is there a worry? I mean, there is, but it's with, like everything else. But he's trying to follow the law and do what's right under the law, so.
Thank you. Go
Mayor,
ahead.
if I may, are we limited? I mean, he's the first, so you're opening up this box. A lot of our neighborhoods is it's open, just, we do this, and we have more coming and more coming, and more of our neighborhoods have this type of businesses across the, I know we try to build up our neighborhoods with better parks and all this other kind of stuff, and so now we're gonna start doing this type of stuff. So how would you answer that?
I mean, we could be approached tomorrow by somebody else, two more people. I can't say, you know, I can't predict what's going to occur if we allow this. But what I do know is that there are several people that live in the city of Port Huron that receive these type of weapons that's delivered directly to them. They're not dealers, but they do receive them because we do receive the paperwork, and it has to be reviewed by myself and Lieutenant Frazier of the Detective Bureau. So I do know several places here in Port Huron that get these type of weapons delivered to them. So it's, and we're talking automatic type of weapons, we're talking assault type of weapons that are legal to purchase, but they receive and delivered to their homes.
So is that what the gentleman is selling, just every type of weapon? What type of weapons?
I don't know what he's going to, but he'll receive, say, a handgun, and then he'll get it. He'll have to do the paperwork. He'll have to make sure that the person meets the background requirements, that he's not a convicted felon. And once that paperwork's completed, the way I understand the process, and I believe it's the same for Mr. Sanderson, is that the person will come over to his house, they'll do the transaction, fill out the proper paperwork, he'll receive his payment, either whether it was paid for up front or at that time. The person receives the firearm, and then he leaves, and then he has to send the paperwork into the ATF when it's completed. As long as that's the process that he's doing, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I just sometimes I just find these kind of, this is a huge decision. You're changing the makeup of a residential area, and we have other laws that here, with zoning, we just went through that with the marijuana, where we, bent over backwards to trying to do all this zoning and everything. It just seemed like we come right after and do things like this. I know it's a special use permit, but just given the atmosphere around, firearms and the whole 9 shot, and, we're doing this, and it's certainly not the Port Huron I would want to see. I know things change, but we talk about this change, and you change for the better, and what are the implications? You don't see it now. This is the present, what we're doing, but as far as the future, and you open that up, we have to answer to that, and we're accountable to the people, the citizens out there, not to us. So I just kind of, don't know where we're going to be at from one point to another. I know you want to do this, and just because somebody else is doing it, my dad used to tell me, well, so what? One size doesn't fit all. We're better than that. So, I just got to put some thought into this. So I'm not about to, cut my
And the only thing I can say is, like I say, I try to do my due diligence. I reached out to the local police chief to see if there was any issues with their 1 or 2 in their community, and they've had none. Like I say, the only concern they had was the ammunition being stored on the property, which he will have not. Like I say, it appears to me that he's trying to follow the letter of the law.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what was presented. I have not had any contact with Mr. Sanderson. I'm just going by from what I've heard the last couple of meetings.
Right, and I appreciate that and you always do, you do your due diligence, but I'm on the same page with Councilman Harris when he brought it up, that the pages that we did were provided and listed the other areas that do have home businesses and et cetera, and they don't have that kind of drama behind them as guns and what have you. you know, and if you don't think about something like that, then you're not even thinking about it, you know, and I'm not just gonna sit up here and make a decision just to make a decision to make somebody feel good. You know, I'm gonna think about the people that we're supposed to be serving.
I'll just point out this industry. With this industry, we equate guns and bad things. These are law-abiding citizens who are facilitating a legal process. This is more of a transaction, so in the process information, I personally use a dealer like this. If this was next to my house, I wouldn't mind. I assure you I have more guns in my house than this gentleman does in his right now. These are legal, law-abiding people who are following a legal process. This is typically done discreet. A lot of law enforcement use these types of dealers because it's more of a sophisticated buyer. So people who go online, find a weapon they like, find a licensed person to facilitate the transaction. This isn't the type of person who rolls into a pawn shop or into a gun store on a weekend and just wants a gun. This is relatively sophisticated levels of buyers who are either doing it for work or for hunting or things like that. So it's not like we're putting a tattoo parlor or something like that in the middle of a neighborhood. This is a very discreet type of business. That's the reason why it happens all over and we don't even know about it typically. So I do want to point out that this gentleman is going to do it above reproach and to do it in a public manner where others, again, don't necessarily do that.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, but it's probably one that's under David's area anyways. So timing-wise, what is this, how long is this permit good for?
Well, excuse me, the permit can be either stipulated by the legislative group. So you can, much like we did with the sober homes, where we have a 2-year cycle in place for reapplying for the special use. In other cases, the special use travels with the property. So as long as that use is in place, it will continue. Now, in this particular case, the use is also tied to the license. So if he were to leave that location, that use would cease, and the special use would then would expire. But as far as the timing and duration, that can be stipulated by yourselves.
That's not in the actual document right now, so we would have to make a motion to add that in. Am I correct?
Recommend the resolution. Correct. And I wanted to speak to the frequency of these type of requests. I've been with the city now 5 years. We've had various inquiries over time. I could probably count on less than one hand. No one has actually followed through and executed on the request. This is the first one that we've had that have actually come forward and gone through the special use process. So as far as, having this opening up Pandora's box, I really don't see that happening. This is kind of a niche market, and it's infrequent that we have people inquiring about FFLs within the city.
Thank you. I have a couple. One, I'll jump down and follow up on hers, which is about the time frame of the license. If I remember correctly, when we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, we have the ability to revoke that at any time if there are issues, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Second, do we have any idea, and this might be for the gentleman, and we may not even be able to answer, but do we have an expected idea of the volume? Are we looking at 4 or 5 a day, 4 or 5 a month, higher in hunting season, 5 a year? What, do we have any clue? Since you're not doing it, you might not, but would love to know.
Correct. Up to 6 a day per ordinance.
Do you want to come to the podium and then, excuse me, do you want to come to the podium because then everyone at home can hear you too?
So the special use permit limits me to 6 sales a day, and I don't think that I'm going to be anywhere near reaching that for some time. This type of business, they have their people they go to. People around here, they either go to VS Sports or the Hot Shop. I would be another option. For someone who doesn't want that showroom experience, but they want something less, or more discreet. So I don't think I'll be doing 6 people a day. It's probably going to be spotty to start, and if I do eventually reach the point where I'm pushing the limits of what I'm permitted to do under the special use, I will be getting a storefront. This is what I want to do.
Okay, my last question before you sit down, because you're probably answering it as well. If I heard correctly, you will not be having any ammunition, so when they pick up the guns, there'll be no ammunition, they will not be loaded, they'll just be picking them up and taking them home.
Correct. The only ammunition that will be in that home is mine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you
Any
for
other
answering the
questions
questions. Not right now, but if we reserve the right to call you back down, okay? Is there any other questions from anyone on council?
I have a quick question.
Councilmember Pemberton.
If we can revoke at any point, we could, if, say there was some issue and we could, call a meeting and revoke a special use permit, then I guess I think I'd be cautious to add a time frame to it, only because having researched this a little bit, it's a lot of work to go through an ATF license. I read some really pro FFL blogs about this, really trying to understand the industry. And most of them discouraged folks from doing it because it's a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of hassle. And as evidenced by going to a planning commission meeting, having a 4-to-4 split, and then having, 7 other people deciding whether or not you can run your own business, it's a difficult thing. And one of the stipulations within the ATF process is, and one of the things they highlighted is, if there's a lot of local ordinances that make it difficult to do this, it can make it difficult to operate your business. And, I think I think you're right that sometimes when we talk about guns, it brings up drama, and people think, oh, guns, and whether they're super pro-gun on one side or, super cautious or anti-gun on the other extreme. This is an administrative business. This is like many of the blogs I was looking at compared it to going to a professional tax preparer to get your taxes done. Because there is that expertise when you're buying a collectible gun, things like that. This isn't a big showroom thing. And so I think, I think we have the opportunity. If it's a special use, by definition, it's a special use, and I'd be cautious to add any extra time frame to it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has any questions or comments?
Mayor Up?
Yes.
Just a few, I guess, observation or comments. And the existing FFLs that are out there already, these are people that when people want to try to find a gun, I think you mentioned they already go to their guy, say, hey, they're dealing with they mentioned Marysville or some other city that are already existing, some expertise. Somebody says, hey, I want this type of thing. Can you find it or get it or help out with the price, I would imagine. And then the transaction is that it gets delivered to the FFF dealer's location, and the customer then arranges to come sign the paperwork, verify it, and pick it up. It's already existing out there now, and I think as somebody trying to start a business, I applaud you. It is a highly regulated, high paperwork, and it's already existing. And it's really, he's going to have to build his business with those that are going to go to him to hey, I want to buy it through you or have it delivered to you, to your shop, because you're a registered FFL dealer and you got to take on that responsibility. So, I understand it enough to know that, it's like starting a brand new business. And the fact when you mentioned up here, us worried about being able to possibly revoke it or send something out for special use, I think if he builds a business, and if that's some type of indication, a time frame of saying, hey, this is, give him advance notice, he probably would then try to find another location for his business that he's built out of his home, and will continue, I would think. And he mentioned possible storefront in the future. So I look at this and say thank you for all the information that you guys prepared, and I do think with the federal licensing, how highly regulated it is and how much documentation, I do think this will be an an okay thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, discussion?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, Councilman.
Just one more question. What's the local experiences with porch pirates?
What?
Porch pirates, where people steal stuff off of porches. I think he plans on being there all the time and stuff. But what happens if he gets a product or a gun and stuff and
I think they'll have to be signed for.
Yeah, you have to sign for it, I'm sure.
I'll let him be
Yeah.
signed? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you, and we will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
No.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. We'll move on to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening, please come forward to the podium, give us your name and address, and you have 4 minutes.
Larry Jones, downtown Port Huron. I just wanted to, Mayor Rupp and City Council and our city manager, I just wanted to say thank you for, all the support that the old art van building has been given. As everybody's read in the newspaper, we've put that project together, which has been a lot of work and has taken the city, the county, the EDA, the Community Foundation, and just a lot of hard work. And so, it's really coming very close. We still got a lot of work to do, but everybody keep their fingers crossed, but the financing and stuff has went through. It's just all the other paperwork. So we're really close. So everybody just, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We're looking forward to it. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council?
Good evening. I am Mona Armstrong. I'm a judge here in our 72nd District Court, and I want to thank Mayor Rep and council members an opportunity just to speak to everyone. Although I recognize that here we are 8 days before Election Day, and the last thing anyone in the world wants to hear is anything about candidates running for office. I think everybody's tired of that, and I recognize that. But I think it's important because our district court is extremely critical to the well-being and welfare, health and safety of the citizens of St. Clair County and certainly the city of Port Huron. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes and just introduce myself. I have, the most important part of my life is that my family, my husband of 21 years, my 2 kids, 15 and just turned 19, are the central part of my existence, I'll say, and the values that I bring to the role I have now were primarily learned from my parents, and highest among that is integrity and the importance for integrity, particularly in our public officials, and the idea that we all have a moral obligation to make our community better. And that's why when I came out of law school, I started in, first as a circuit court law clerk, and then eventually in our prosecutor's office. And just to give an idea, there's a lot of information out there about my practice and my background. I handled our major crimes unit there, and I specialized in protecting vulnerable victims. But I think particularly in this forum, the best example I can provide relates to the case I had in 1999 when I was assigned the prosecution of Gerald Ajax Ackerman, who was the mayor of Port Huron at the time. Just to give a little bit of perspective about that, I had been a prosecutor for 4 years. I was pretty green. And that may be why I was assigned that case, because I couldn't understand necessarily the gravity in the sense that this was getting national attention, and it really did bring the city to its knees at that time. And that didn't matter to me, because what mattered to me at the time were those kids and what had happened to them, and making sure that he was held accountable and responsible for what he did. And what I learned was that the first step toward recovery for the entire community
was making sure that those kids received some justice. It was never going to be enough, but it was what had to happen, and it's what did happen. And so I'm very proud of the work that I've done on behalf of our community for the last I spent 25 years in the prosecutor's office, and I've now been serving on the bench, and I bring those same convictions and intentions and the promise that I will uphold the law to the best of my ability and it will be fair. And I ask the voters of the city of Port Huron and St. Clair County to look at that record, because as a prosecutor, I've said it a million times, actions speak louder than words. Nobody wants to hear what any politician is promising these days. Look at the record, and I'm hopeful that when you do that, you'll consider voting to allow me to keep my seat as 72nd District Court Judge. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the council this evening? If you do, please come forward, give us your name and address, and you have 4 minutes. Seeing no one else, I will declare public comment closed. We will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Who supported? I didn't hear the support. You? Yes, okay. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rett?
Yes, we have things on the consent agenda were 3 ordinances. They were all given their second reading and enactment, all to amend Chapter 52 zoning of Article 3 district regulations, and the different zonings are to rezone the property generally described as 1230 7th Street from CBD zoning district to A1 zoning district, and to rezone the property generally described as 1103 7th Street from R zoning district to A1 zoning district, and the property generally described as 300 vacant lot Griswold Street from an M1 zoning district to a CBD zoning district. And those were the 3 items on the consent agenda. So we will move now to, from the city manager, number 1, please.
Accepting the bid from Huron's Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $8,900 for removal and disposal of excavated materials at 1808 Bancroft Street.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, discussion.
Here,
Councilmember Ashford.
I see the successful bidder was 8,900, and the highest here is 27. Is there anything that we should be concerned about with that range?
No, it's a pretty low-level job, so typically when you have a bid like that, they really didn't want it.
They didn't want it? Oh, okay. And then also...
Geographic plays a role in as well, geography as well.
Was it? Oh, okay. And so, it says here, however, this time, the bins, they were consolidated and placed in one bin? Okay, they've been placed in one bin. Okay, that's a plus for us?
Correct.
Oh, okay. And also, it drove the cost down?
Correct.
Oh, okay. And because it drove the cost down, the quality is still there and the job is still going to be complete?
Yep, it's a
Top
pretty
notch.
simple task.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rett?
Yes. Item 2.
Accepting the quote from SW Controls, Division of FCX Performance, in the amount of $24,813.80 for the purchase of 20 pressure differential transmitters for use at the water filtration plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Discussion? We all got information in our packets, so we will take the vote.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Resolutions, number 1, please.
Approving the proposal with Tetra Tech of Michigan, PC, for professional engineering services to conduct a risk and resiliency assessment and complete an emergency response plan update for the water filtration plant.
Is there a motion? Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support?
Councilmember Beeden. Is there discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Ashford.
well, there's no discussion. I wonder if you can just speak to this anyway, just so we'll know that we're in compliance across the board. This isn't something we're just doing. I think we should have some kind of explanation.
Yeah, so in the resolution, we provided you that this is law, that a municipality that serves water to more than 3,300 people is required to do this by law. So this is essentially a resiliency, and it looks at where our weaknesses are so we can address them. And it's about water quality and water safety. So this is regulated by the government, and we are required to do it.
And then we also have the interest of the Port Huron, Charter Township, and Port Gratiot, and Kimball. So it's all of us together.
Correct. We serve water to more than 50,000 people.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 2.
Approving the proposal with Tetra Tech of Michigan, PC, for the professional engineering services for security improvements to the water filtration plant flocculation building.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Harris.
I was just wondering, since this involves security improvements, why are we having an engineering company do the security work?
It'll require structural changes to the building.
Oh, well, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Whether that means new doors, new locks, basic things like that will have to be looked at.
Thank you.
So this is just oversight?
Correct.
Security-wise?
Correct. Yeah, with some recommendations as well.
Any other
Does
questions?
anyone want the definition of what flocculation was? Because I had a call. It's where they put the stuff in the water.
Yeah.
I had to call
You
Eric
said
Witter.
the stuff
I
in
said,
the water?
That
Yeah.
word has come up before.
yeah, I had to call Witter. I'm like, not to sound dumb, but what in the world is flocculation? So,
That's cute.
Do you want to take the vote, please?
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 3, please.
Authorizing submission of the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the 2019 program year to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for their review and approval regarding the use of CDBG and home funds.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. And I wonder if you, oh, yeah, there you are. I just looked up and there you are.
Just real quick, I spoke to this last week at the public hearing at your last meeting. This is a snapshot in time. This is a 5-year plan, so this is your snapshot to date. Just to be candid, we've had some challenges in the last year, in the last 6 months with COVID. It makes it difficult to do outreach. It makes it difficult to make people aware of the availability of dollars and programs. With that said, we've made some great leaps and bounds with the senior citizen emergency repair funds, with some of our paint vouchers. We use this time to let the community know if you are low to moderate income and you need help with some paint for your house, let us know. We have free paint vouchers. If you're a low to moderate income individual or a senior citizen and your furnace breaks or your water heater goes out, call us. We have assistance programs out there, and we're not spending all the money, and I don't believe it's because the need's not there, I think it's just because people don't have the knowledge that those resources are out there. So if you have a loved one or a family member who maybe you have a neighbor down the street, you know, needs some help, you hear a story about how their hot water heater went out, their furnace went out, call the community development office, let us, one of our case managers, take a look at it and see what we can do. We are working hard. We've created the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. That job is specifically tasked with going out into the community, meeting with the different groups, and letting people know what programs and resources are available. Even with COVID, they've done a terrific job. They've done some Zoom calls with different organizations, and so we hopefully will be able to move the benchmarks on these numbers as we progress down this in the coming half a year and year as we get more opportunities.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Freed?
No, James, you mentioned the diversity and inclusion, and I was going to bring your attention to page 6 under packet 28, where the demographics here, we still, the CDBG funds is 58 for white, and home is 21, and then for black or African Americans is 4, and home is 1, and so there's an equity issue right there. Or is that COVID?
Well, I'm not sure I could derive that from these numbers. We try making sure that our CDBG allotment numbers tracks with census data, meaning if depending on your minority breakup in your census data, if you're 86% white, 7% to 11% African American, and so on, we want to make sure that we're tracking with the census data. And so these numbers do pair relatively well with our census data. So if you were to take down the racial breakdown of our census with the United States Census Bureau and then overlay that on a percentage basis with these data, we seem to track relatively well year over year. With that said, that's always room for marked improvement. There's always improvement that can be done to make sure that we not just look at the racial equity issue, but also socioeconomic, making sure that we reach all the different folks who have a need in the community. So we really try benchmarking well with the census data, which is important why people should fill out the census so we can have a better idea and make sure that these numbers are appropriately and proportionally being spent accurately.
Yeah, and not to make you look bad, but we did do that. I did my homework before I asked you that question, and we still can do better because it isn't, as you were saying with the census numbers, when we did do it, it didn't come out as you were.
Well, last year, if you look on the allocation, if you look at the last plan and the allocation of minority dollars, in some areas we exceeded the census tracking. So I would say that the last couple of years we've done a relatively good job of meeting and exceeding the census tracking.
Okay, I'll leave it right there. But
Okay, it's a good question for follow-up. I think I can put together some follow-up information.
We can follow up with this, and it's not for public, it's not for meeting, but I was going to ask, but out of respect and for, offline, and so I will be digging deeper into this.
Absolutely. And what I'll do is I'll work with David and the team, and we'll do analysis for you, and I'll provide that with the mayor and council in the next coming week.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Mayor,
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
don't go away, James. No, really, just for the public that are listening and may be interested in applying, can you just give the time frame and when the dollars need to be applied for? And then you said we haven't spent it all. What happens if we don't?
So we have like some years, we can go back almost 2 or 3 years where pots of money, so you have emergency home repair funds, paint vouchers. So now, if there's a need now, call the community development office. This is in addition to our COVID response money, which if you have issues with your rent or mortgage assistance, the mayor and council have allotted more than $100,000 for assistance. That's at the Community Action Agency. You can go get a caseworker and begin working on that now at the Blue Water Community Action Agency. We also provided utility assistance to the tune of, I think, $75,000 to the Community Action Agency as well. So those funds are readily available. We have transferred those funds, a check in hand to the Community Action Agency. So those resources and tools are out there now for our citizens. So when in doubt, if you have a need, just call us and we'll see what we can do. And sometimes if we can't help, we know someone who can.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes?
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4, please.
Authorizing the allocation of the 2019 and 2020 Home Community Housing Development Organization funds according to the St. Clair Nonprofit Housing Corporation's proposal to acquire, rehabilitate, and resell 1034 Cedar Street to a moderate income purchaser.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support- oh, I was going to switch to support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. It's a fight tonight to see who gets there first. We'll just hurry the meeting along, is that it?
And people probably don't
Yeah.
understand that. It's just because
Yeah.
you get ready to go, and the more we can move it, it keeps the flow going for the meeting. It's not that you want to say, you're doing it all the time, or I'm doing it.
Nope, I understand that.
Get it going.
Is there any questions, comments?
Mayor Rapp?
Councilmember Harris?
Yeah, just the question here is the fact that when do we plan on rehabilitating this piece of property? Spring?
Don't trip.
Yeah. You were all rooting, I fell. So as soon as possible, we have several properties right now in stock. David Haynes is currently working on an innovative program that some other communities have done across the state, where we work with private contractors on development agreements to get these homes done faster, meaning we don't want a backlog of homes that need to be updated and sold. We want to get them done and begin turning them in a faster fashion so we can help more people. As you know, the Pioneer Homebuyer Program is helping about 30 families a year. And so David is looked all across the country and all across the state on what other communities are doing. And he's working right now with Katie, our Community Development Director, on some development agreements and working with partners in the city to get those done faster.
Okay.
Meaning we're doing this literally like in the Community Development Office, they're picking out the tile, they're picking out the carpet, and they do a great job. They really do. However, there are people who are professional who can probably do it a little bit faster pace than we can do. So the goal is to, how do we get these homes out of the blighted condition and back to the market and in the hands of a family that can really use it and benefit the neighborhood as quick as possible. And so David has really found some pretty innovative ways to expedite that process, and you'll hear more about that pretty quickly.
Well, interestingly enough, we had adjacent property in the 1100 block, which bounced away between done and undone and finally torn down and stuff, and I just think the people in that neighborhood deserve something that we know is going to get done and get done soon, so thank you.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? You can take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes?
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 5.
Authorizing payment in the amount of $7,483 to Healthy Turf Plus LLC for the repair and fertilization of damaged grass at 15.5 acres of city-owned parks.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Ashford, and I believe our city manager is getting up to address this.
So to be fair on this one, we're probably going to pay for this ourselves because this is work we probably would have done anyways. This is work we've had, doesn't hurt to ask the insurance company. But most likely we'll be paying for this out of the general fund. So the attorney says that this is work we typically would do. It's a jump ball, so.
Look at what they've already paid.
I will tell you,
Yeah, a
the
lot.
parkway, that slit seating looks better on the parkway. That parkway looks better than it did before it happened.
before, yeah.
I hate to almost say that, but it really does look good. So we've been pleased so far. Now the marina, it's getting there. They reseeded again, so and this will help with the marina. So typically, this is work we already do, so it's going to be hard to justify that to the insurance company, but it didn't hurt to take a swing at the ball.
Yeah,
Doesn't hurt to ask, does it?
I know that's right.
We will take the vote.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We now go to ordinance number 4.
Second reading and enactment. An ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 1 in general, and Article 4 general and supplementary regulations of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances to provide for additional zoning of marijuana businesses.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Beeden. Is there any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Councilmember Ashford?
No.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes, that concludes our agenda for this evening. We did start leaf pickup this week, correct? Yeah, I think I heard them someplace in the far off going around, so I'm sure we need to have more leaves fall before we have that all accomplished, but that is at least underway. So I also just want to take another opportunity to thank both council members, Warden and Harris, for their service. I'm sure it's going to be a little bittersweet for you guys walking away tonight, realizing that this is the last meeting, but I appreciate your service. And just a reminder to everyone that is Election Day next Tuesday, November 3rd. No matter who you're voting for, just make sure you vote. Yes.
Just wanted to briefly also say thank you to Ken Harris. You've been here for my entire 6 years. I appreciate you voting to give me a job. Worked out well. I could always count on minor details. Ken reads everything. And there is nothing more embarrassing when I send something out and Ken finds a mistake, and I literally sit there and think, how did 7 staffers, myself, miss this? And Ken figured it out. Just this last week with a billing issue, he found it out. So your attention to detail, and I know that in the last 6 years we've put together a lot of difficult decisions, and you showed brave leadership and courage and made a lot of difficult decisions, and I appreciate that. You have been always candid with me and fair, and I truly appreciate getting the opportunity to work with you. I also want to thank your lovely wife. Where's she at tonight? Thank you for sharing your husband with us. I know for the last 9 years, you have seen him on TV and not in your living room where he belonged for you. So we appreciate that, and thank you for all that. Councilman Warden, also thank you. It's been an honor to serve with you. You two ask great questions and give us an opportunity to really explore and deep dive some issues. Your expertise in finance has been very beneficial and really helped guide me on how we explain financial data, especially so everyday citizens can understand it. So I appreciate that. It's been a true honor to get to work with both of you, and thank you.
Mayor Rupp,
Yes, Councilmember Ashford.
I'd too like to echo, I don't have to echo, I could just say it. I'd just like to say, Ken, you've been, not just only a fellow council member, but a friend, a true friend. And I know when we had those, very, really hard kind of decisions, sometimes you have to maybe spend some countless times on the phone. I know Linda, I guess she said Anita calling again, but, you're always there. And one thing, they say you were about detail, but it's one thing about a council member that I admire this about Ken. Ken, he just didn't sit at home and look at it and read it and talk about it. I mean, he actually was out there. I said, Ken, you don't work for the road commission, or something like that, but he was out there. I mean, they even know his name up at the Attorney General's office, and they said, oh, Ken Harris, we know him, and I was always proud of you the way you did that. And I didn't always agree with Ken, and he didn't agree with me, but just because we don't agree with one another don't mean we have to, stop speaking in such a way, an immature way. I mean, there's some things, because I have had some issues up here where, I had to catch myself. But at the end of the day, our focus is really the people, and you really serve the people without a doubt here in the city of Port Huron for your 9 years. And you should be very, very proud of the job that you've done. So thank you, Ken, so very much.
Well, Anita, I appreciate it very much, but the only downside was, as your replacement on the Transit Commission, your attendance records stand out, and I never got to sub for you one night, so.
Yeah, but we stayed in touch. We had something I had to get you.
Yeah.
By the way, Jim Wilson is retiring, so in March coming here. But you were always there. That's what I'm saying. I could call you and you were there. I mean, that's trust. And that's what we need more in this world today, to find people. They may not look like us or think like us, but we certainly can work together and make a difference, and that's what you did.
Thank you.
And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now you, Warden, where are you? Man, you a piece of cake. But you know what? It's one thing. You know what? You kept us on our toes. You know, ye a little wind. You were really long-winded, man. But you know what? You ask questions, and that's what this job is all about, asking the questions. I don't know if you knew what you were asking when you asked it, but it made me think about it too. You know, I'm thinking, oh, what is he really trying to say? You may not didn't get it, you know, just right or whatever. You had to get around a corner and try to figure it out. But you came up here with some gun-ho, and you know what? And you had you had an agenda that you wanted to fulfill, you know. But in between point A and Z, you found out that it wasn't about your agenda, but it was deeply about what we had to do up here and work collectively together. It wasn't just you. You had to get to us too. So it was all of us. So it wasn't Warden against the rest of the group. At some point, you knew in your heart that it was about all of us. And you did well up here in terms of, keeping the city manager on his toes. I liked when he was up here, before COVID, he would jump. You would say something like, I thought I had to hit him on his knee so he could calm down. But I appreciate, all your service, your last 4 years up here, because, people think this is a piece of cake just to say, I'm going to run for city council, and come up here. But and all of us can attest to this, and I'm not speaking for you. It is not a piece of cake. It's not a piece of cake. It's not a joke, So if you're out there, you're running for office, and you get in this seat, you got some big shoes to fill, and you got a city to serve that people are counting on us. So it's not about you, and it never has been, and it never will be. So if you're coming up here with that kind of attitude, you're short-lived, and you won't get anything done. And as for me and my time, remainder of my time, I really want to continue and hope and pray to God that we do get some council members up here to fill these seats that's going to continue, to fight for our city in such a way that we fight together as a team. It's not about one of us. It's not about the mayor or the mayor pro tem or James Freed, but it's about all of us working together with our staff. We have a fine staff. So with that, guys, I'm going to miss you, but I know you're going to be up here at this thing right here. And if I could say this, why don't Jim Harris, why don't your family stand up, family? Because, we're up here, and give them a round of applause, too, because they had to sit up here, and they had to go through a lot. Yeah. So we all got somebody behind us, when we're up here doing this, when we're giving all of our time. And it just doesn't stop here from 7 o'clock to whatever time we get out. But we do some overtime, a lot of overtime, because we care. And that makes a whole world of difference. We care. Thank you, Mayor Rep. I didn't mean to go all there, but it just happened.
Talk about long-winded.
Oh, happy birthday, Mama. My mom is 98 years old today.
Yeah.
Give her a round of applause. 98 years old.
I was going to say, you've forgotten your mother and all
Yeah,
that.
I forgot my mom. And she was filling out her ballot. She said, is Pauline still there? I thought, yeah. She told me, you better circle her. I thought, Mom, really? You want to do your own over here? I'm supposed to be assistant. So, yeah. Pauline is her friend, so I thought,
Yes.
okay.
Mayor Rep,
She's a
I think it's all
wonderful
been
woman.
said. So with that, I think Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Warden, both deserve one last round of applause.
Yeah, stand up for that. One last stand. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, where's that gavel?
Then I guess that kind of concludes the meeting unless somebody has something else.
No,
So
we got nothing else. Come on.
I think that Councilmember Harris should make the motion to adjourn, and it should be seconded by Councilmember Warden.
Okay.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Wait a minute.